Welcome to Those Guys Sports. It is your boy Mike, and this is my weekly Raptors video. And this Raptor video, I'm gonna talk. I'm really gonna talk about the lineups. I was listening to a podcast. I was reading up on some Raptor things, and it's just some thoughts I think we all Raptor fans have about them. What's their best unit, things like that. So before I even start, make sure, as always, you like and subscribe. I see the Raptor videos are always climbing, and the views are getting better each time. That's because of the people watching. So I want to say thank you always for watching. The likes are increasing. The comments that I see are there as well. Please continue to comment. I really appreciate it. To be honest, I really do. It means a lot. So now let's just talk about the Raptors. Our favorite team up north. As a long time Raptors fan, we have dealt with a lot of ups and downs. We've dealt with times where we felt this team was going to be trash and they won 40 plus games. Where we also dealt with times where we thought this team was going to be great, kind of like last season, and nothing happened. I think sometimes there's just moments where you think one thing, then nothing else happens. This season, it's the same. I don't know what we're gonna expect. I don't know what some of these fans are expecting, if we're gonna be good, if we're gonna be bad. I said it in my last video before that this team, there's about 10 teams. They're probably the 10th team, 11th team. There's a lot of teams that are better. The Atlanta Magic, the Indiana Pacers are climbing up. I think they're probably better than teams like the Hawks and the Brooklyn Nets. But other than that, you're hoping for a lot of growth from this Raptor teams as a whole. But let me talk about this Raptors unit and multiple different Raptors. Before we get all that, the preseason came out for the Raptors. They're going to play in Vancouver and Montreal. Some games you're hoping you can see a couple things, but a lot of times with preseason, you're hoping that you see you're hoping you see a little bit a better shooting from Scotty, but really got to see it in the first two games. You're hoping that Pascal becomes a more complete player. We see videos of him working on the efficiency. You're hoping things like that get better, and you're hoping everyone kind of Coloco. And when it comes with preseason, you try out new things. You always notice a bunch of players try. I know JV a few years back tried out the 3-point shot before he really introduced it in the season. You try it out in preseason, and then you maybe try one or two random games, especially if you're beating a team by a lot. But then the following season is where you really show the bag. And I think that's what you may see from guys like Coloco, maybe a Pirtle, maybe flashing out the three. Who knows? One thing with the Raptors as well, I just saw a picture. I think the Raptors just posted as I'm recording this. They just posted like a bunch of guys working out. So most of the team is together. And look, the only guy who I didn't see pictures of and I could have just missed it was Pascal. And I know before Pascal, the rumors were that Pascal didn't want to join the team in Las Vegas because of the fact that there's so much rumors of him being traded, and you don't really want to be around a team that you're about to be traded. Even though I heard that the players were all like, "Hey, Pascal, come. He's our guy, whatever." Tune into one of it's like a 5 minute video, 5 10 minute video. I forgot how long it was, where I talk about Pascal's leadership. That'll be this week as well, so probably tomorrow, about Pascal's leadership and the importance of Pascal and his leadership in the future. Because yeah, we got guys like an Otto Porter, we got guys like that young guy I'm about to talk about as well, and Garrett Temple. But it's really up to your best player to also be a leader, even though if it's silent, you really need him to step up. But speaking of Garrett Temple, we signed him. Uh, it's like the 15th man, so and it happened. And literally, it happened right after I finished recording. So we signed Garrett Temple. There's not much to it, not much you can really think about. It's the 15th man. He's a great vet. It seems like he really helps the young guys. You're hoping he's going to help a lot of young guys. I always think to myself, it's these type of guys that stay in the league, the Garretts, the Fads, the Ish Smiths. Jeff Green was probably a higher talented guy than some of them. But those are the type of guys who stay in the league, right? There was like was it Jeff Teague who talked about players wanting to play like a James Harden. I always say that guys like that are in the league for a certain amount of years where there's a reason why Ish Smith is on the roster. There's a reason why Garrett Temple, no matter if he's on his 15th team, it doesn't matter. There's a reason why people and teams want guys like that on their squad. They'd rather have a guy like that than get a guy who is a ball hog and doesn't really appreciate the team. It happens all the time where guys just fade out the league because they end up not being good teammates. You look at some of your favorite players, some of the best players of all time, not the best of all time, some of the best players of a certain year, see their trajectory and how much years they've really been in the league. They haven't. It's just because the type of player they are, they lose the team aspect, right? Someone like Carmelo is out of the league, right? He's out of the league. The man can still probably play on the team. He probably can still help a team out right now. But why do teams not want him? Is because of an attitude issue that he may not even have. It's the stigma that he has. So to me, it's always good to kind of, Patrick Beverley's gonna be in the league for a while. Dylan Brooks, you may hate him, maybe in the league for a while, just because of some of the intangibles he brings, plus with the leadership as well. These are the things that you kind of want in a player. But yeah, it's a good signing. It's Garrett Temple. What else could you want? So something I messaged to I think I messaged to a lot of people. Blake Murphy, Vivek, Samson, just to name a few. Ahmed, I messaged him as well. Shout outs to all of them, all nice guys to always respond back to me. I asked them a question. So I look at the starting unit. What does Point Scotty need? If he's going to be the point guard, what does he need? He needs some shooting around him. Well, we got that in OG because he's a good shooter. You're hoping Gary brings that same thing as well. So I said, okay, let's just think about this. Raptor fans, hear me out, okay? Just please hear me out. What about Otto Porter starting? And I know the man didn't play last season. The man played what? I don't think he played more than 10 games. Didn't play, but you still know the talent's there. If we can get 63 games like the Golden State Warriors got, it'd be great, right? At the end of the day, we have a great medical staff. He got a hurt toe. It happens. You think about it, Kawhi has played more for the Raptors, that one season than he's played for the Clippers any of those 4 seasons. Combined, of course, he's played more with the Clippers. I'm just saying for the one season, he played for the Raptors much longer, and we managed him the whole time. And maybe we'll do the same thing with Otto. If this team is actually good, it's weird to say you're load managing your like eighth best player, or not your eighth most important because of his 3-point shooting, best player. So it's weird, but he's a vet. You want to keep him. He's a vet, but he's only like 30. Actually, a very young guy. He's closer to Pascal than Pascal is to Scotty, if you think about it. Yeah, so he's a guy that you kind of want to keep healthy, right? So if you can get, I keep saying like 40 games out of him, man. If you can get 60 games out of Otto Porter, that's not a bad starter, And I say starter, he's not playing 25 minutes a game. This is a Luis Scola type. This is the Luis Scola and Patrick Patterson thing that happened a few years back. You put the vet with your starting unit because they balance out the roster better. So my thought process is, and this is the reason why I messaged them, which they all hated that idea. To be honest, they all hated it. But the reason why you do it is because what you do is you put Otto with the starting unit. So it would be, Scotty, OG at the 2. 3 is Otto Porter for the 2 guys who can shoot, Otto Porter hitting the 3 at the corner or top of the base. Like, one of those shots. Then you have, of course, Pascal, your number 1 guy, and then you have Pirtle, your big, your defensive big. Once again, you're very long. Defensively, Otto Porter can still hold up. He may not guard the best player on the opposite end, but he can guard. He can still guard. He can still guard his man. I think he's, if he's giving you 13 to 15 minutes a game, you're not hurting. If he's shooting, 1 of 3 or 1 of 4, he's gonna shoot a 3 of 3 one game, shoot 4 of 6 one game. He's just gonna have it. He's just a shooter. He's gonna have that ability, especially when you have guys driving down the lane in Pascal, OG, and a Barnes who are gonna have a mismatch. So it's one of those things. And then reason why I also liked it is because it makes your bench to me a little better. I know people are talking about like Grady Dick playing minutes, and you didn't draft him 13th for him not to play minutes, but it's kind of like you want to see a bunch of other guys play. And when I talk about the lineups, and I will, there is still like, it's weird to say, there's like 13 guys that we want to see play. I think in a lot of teams, they have their core guys that they want to see play. Like when I look at the Chicago Bulls, who kind of have the same type of situation as the Toronto Raptors, I think they already have their core like guys that they want to see play. And then their bench, I think they already know who they want to play. I don't think they want to go 12 deep, where the Raptors have potentially of 12 deep. Doesn't mean it's all good. It just means guys that you want to see get some minutes, right? So I'm not too sure if Grady Dick's gonna get that. So with the bench, you have guys like I want to see Jalen McDaniels play. I believe if he can hit the three at a 35, 36% rate, like his ability, that's the reason why he's on the court is it elevates. When you have a Boucher who at times can shoot well, and he's had some. He's more of a he's up and down sometimes with his shooting, but when he's on it, he's on it. Another great defensive player as well in a Boucher. If you have those two guys on your wings, then you have a Gary and a Dennis Schroeder as well, as your guards, and you can have a big and a Coloco or a Precious. And once again, I just named 11 guys that you want to see play as well. And you still have Thad Young, who you want to potentially see. I don't know, I'm not sure you want to see. He's still a vet, but he can still bring a lot to a team. When his passing was kind of like that Marc Gasol thing. If Thad Young was bigger, he'd be a great backup five. He's a great small ball five in Thad Young. So to me, putting an Otto Porter as a starter, it's more of elevating your bench. Because I think if you had a Gary and a Dennis, then you have a two-man from your bench. You're not like losing yourself offensively. When you need a basket, you have those two guys. You have rim running bigs and a Boucher and a Precious and a Coloco. You're still good defensively. Yes, they can hunt a Gary or a Dennis if a team plays bigger, but you still got to have a lot of length in the back end with a Boucher, Precious, a Coloco, a Thad Young if you add them there. And then you still can do whatever closing lineup you have or whatever closing lineup you want. And I think you could do some really good mixing and matching with the guys. And the one thing one of the guys had said is, with the coach, this new coach, he's going to want to play the young guys, or he's really about developing. And I didn't mention of Malachi Flynn, who I quite frankly still want to see get some minutes. I actually believe in Malachi Flynn. The one thing I wasn't the biggest fan of a Nick Nurse was that I felt like when guys played well, he didn't ride the hot hand. I feel like he instead put him on the bench and they didn't get any minutes. Like I want to see guys get minutes when they're doing well. Even when they're not doing well, I want us to put the faith that we trust in them. I don't think Nick Nurse clearly didn't trust his team. That's why guys like Pascal and OG played the amount and Fred played the amount of minutes they did. I will always say, like, yeah, I understand losing Fred. You couldn't pay him that money. Mind you, Fred is in Toronto right now, so it's not like he hates the city. But it sucks losing a guy like Fred. But if you could have got a Fred plus still signed Dennis Schroeder, I think this Raptors team would, and I could be wrong, especially with the new coach. I think this team could have been a 48, 50 win team with the growth of a Scotty and OG's development, Gary's development. And then that's why I would have saw from this team. Gary would have really come off the bench, improved in his role as a sixth man, I believe, with getting a Dennis Schroeder. And I kind of want to pair them together. And I know a lot of people may be against it because of potential size mismatches that can happen. But I just think having two guards who can score the basket the way, especially, I think Dennis could average, if he was a starter, I think he could probably average like 15, 16 points a game. Coming off the bench, I still think he can average like 12 points a game with the efficient amount of minutes. And then, but I think those two guys leading the bench could be the best thing for the Raptors, all in all, because the one thing you're going to need is bench scoring. So as much as a lot of people are penciling in Gary to start, I'm not too sure if I would do the same. If I'm being honest, I'm not too sure I'd do the same with starting a Gary. Does it make the most sense? Yeah. Gary's in a contract year. I believe, the best. This Raptors team, I truly think, Gary can elevate his game. This Raptors team is now we can start talking. I don't know. Let's not put any, let's not give him a limit because you don't know what this team. Things always happen. But I think the best version of Gary can improve this team greatly. And, the guy behind me, Pascal and Gary's connection, I said it from time, and you can see the games. When Pascal was out, Gary was struggling. Those two guys just somehow have this amazing chemistry together. The numbers bear out that Gary plays better with Pascal on the court. He just does. And when you see that, you kind of want to pair them. So I can kind of see the thought of putting them in both in the starting unit. It still gives you a ton of shooting for a Barnes and a Pascal. Things I want to see. Now, the one thing with Toronto, I keep saying it. To me, I see them being the Miami Heat. You have a Pascal who's like your Jimmy Butler. Yes, Jimmy is Jimmy, and I'm not disputing that. Jimmy, what he's done for the past 3 years, it should be talked about a lot more. Scotty, to me, is like your Bam in the sense. Like, and when I talk about both of them, I'm speaking primarily of them shooting threes. Jimmy Butler doesn't really shoot a lot of threes in the playoffs. He did, but come regular season, he barely shot threes. He was in the line all the time. One of the top leaders, shooting and scoring from the line in the league. And I just see Pascal should do the same. He shouldn't really be forcing 3-point shots. Yeah, you want to be a threat, but if you have threats in an OG and a Gary, like to me, if Gary starts, it's kind of what I thought with Fred. Gary should be shooting like 10 threes a game all the time. And then OG should be shooting like eight to 10 threes a game. Now, will they be 1 of 8 one game? Yeah. But will they also be 5 of 8 one game? Yes. That's where the averages they balance out. When you see that some games they're gonna hit, some games they're not. I think that's where, like, of course, real Raptor fans should shut up and understand it's just basketball. If you ever played basketball, there's some days you're hitting. The one time I played ball, I think it was like during Christmas or something, where people just were laughing and saying it must be Christmas for Michael, because I just like was going down and just pull up, and I just hit them, and I don't know why I just did it, right? And sometimes it just happens, sometimes you just have a good game, you just have a good game, and it's just easy. It just sometimes it can be super easy for you. So it is what it is. But that's what I that's why going back to my original point, starting Otto Porter isn't the worst decision to me in the world. It really isn't. I know Raptor fans will probably hate it, but it's not the worst decision to me, and I truly believe it could be something that can help this team. Now let me move on to the overall lineups, because that's what this whole podcast will be about some of the lineups that we see. Um, Now, when we talk about, and I look at my trusted phone, starting lineup, it's obvious: Scotty, OG, Pascal, Pirtle. Those are your four. I've kept saying that, I just did a whole speech of why I think Otto Porter should start. I do think if Masai's anything to do with it, and Masai's going to speak, and Masai's going to tell Darko, like, hey, this is what we want, they're going to start Gary. Gary's going to be your starting player, but I don't know. There's also like word that Dennis was told that he's going to be the starter. I don't know about that. I'm not too sure. If he is, he is. There's no doubt about it. But I keep hearing they want to give the ball to a Scotty Barnes, and if you want to give the ball to Scotty, the best version of that would be him, like, playing these minutes and being that you're starting one, and kind of going from there. Of course, he has to work on a bunch of things, but I truly always say Scotty Barnes' best version of himself is a better shooting version of Draymond Green. Like, I think if Scotty locks in defensively, because he has all the defensive tools, the length, the size, the ability to guard 1 through 4, maybe a 5 if the 5 is of a smaller build. Like, Scotty has that ability to do that. I think Scotty can probably guard fives like a Jared Allen. Now, when he gets older, some of those centers are going to be almost kind of the same size as him, because they're all going to grow like a Jalen Durant, even Isaiah Stewart, like, who's a big, meaty man. But I do think Scotty could potentially hold his own as well. So I would say the starting unit: Scotty, OG, Pascal, Pirtle, and Gary. Um, yeah, so that's what I if I can believe Otto Porter can come and give me 15 minutes a game, and I know he'll be fresh for the 60 games. I would potentially do it. I hear some people think that Grady Dick should start. No, 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 not at all. Like, in all these potential lineups, he may not be playing, like, to just talk about. Like I said, we want to see Grady Dick play, but let's see all the guys who want to. Especially if you want to win, okay, you have the 5 that I just said. Gary, OG, Barnes, Pascal, Pirtle. Okay. Dennis Schroeder definitely gonna play. You got to play Precious as well. You got to play Jalen McDaniels. That's eight. That could be your eight-man rotation right there. Playoff, whatever. That could be your playoff eight. There's Chris Boucher still there, right? Now he's a guy that, arguably speaking, he could be out of the rotation. He could be out of the rotation, but I don't think he will. Because I think he brings a lot of intangibles that you need. And he's a guy who's been on the team as long as OG and Pascal has. So he's gonna be on the team. He's still from the championship, right? So that's eight guys. Okay. And then now I just mentioned the guy who I would potentially start, Otto Porter. That's 10 guys. Christian Coloco, that's 11. For a lot of people who are big fans of this guy, Jeff Dowling Jr., he got to play. That's if he makes the team. I think with the Garrett Temple, they would probably have to waive someone, which I think would potentially be like a Thad or something, the way the contracts roll. But I don't think they want to waive Thad because you cost you $7 million. You could have waived them and then like that would why would you do that? Because his contract's 8, you could have waived them, would have been a million. That didn't happen. That's why I think a lot of people are expecting the Raptors to make one last trade. What is that going to trade going to be? Who knows? But they make one last one, and then they get you Grady Dick. That's 12 guys that you're gonna have to play. So is Grady gonna get some love at 905? Probably. You'll probably get some love over there. So and he still you got Malachi. You still got to play Malachi too. So there's and I want Malachi to play. I think he's the one guy for some reason that I want Darko to work on. And I think what I believe Darko can, from listening to him, he's going to bring a lot of confidence. He talks about the word swag, and I'm hoping he brings that for the squad. I think Nick did a lot of. Nick is a coach for a veteran team. Clear as day. He's a better. Some coaches are better. Like Doc Rivers, if you really think about it, he's a coach that's better when there's no definite star, right? And there's no number one guy. Boston Celtics, he let KG, Allen, and Pierce realize this is a team. Yes, you're the leaders, but none of you are the number one. Like no one's. Yes, Pierce can score a lot, but KG was a defensive player, and Ray Allen was no slouch. Look at their NBA Finals. 21 points for Pierce, 18 and 18 for Allen and KG. Quite a lot, the same amount of points for all three. They were all three the leaders. So yeah, like I said, that was the starting unit. Let me continue this. The small ball unit to me would be Dennis, Gary, OG, Pascal, and Scotty. Now you're hoping that the other team is not playing like a Joel Embiid. Once again, this is for a team like in this lineup. I can see a Scotty guard of Vucevic. Vucevic is a big man, like, and he can. Vucevic is one of the most talented centers. He's one of the most underrated centers. People don't really talk about him a lot, but like yeah, like even Sabonis, so not a physically demanding guy, a guy who likes to pop up for threes, like those type of lineups that the opposite team has. That's where I would employ this 5-man unit. Plus, OG can guard some fives because he's bigger in stature than most people would believe. So that's my small ball. I do also think offensively that'd be good. It also gives Pascal and Scotty a lot to do. But does it make them work defensively a lot? Yeah, it does. I think this season, as much as I want to love to see small ball, but it's unless the opponent is really presenting it, I'm not sure if I want to see it as much. I would like to see a Pirtle on the court, or like a Thaddeus Young, who just someone who can relieve some, center play, some Precious as well. That's who I'd rather see. I don't think I really want to see too much of a small ball with a Scotty or Pascal or OG playing the 5. I don't want to see that. And I'm not sure if Darko may do all that. I think he kind of likes having the big because he's a real big pick and roll guy. So big ball, the big lineup, the big lineup. That's a Scotty, that's a OG, that's a Pascal, that's Precious. And I wrote Pirtle, but I think it could be a Pirtle or Coloco, one of the two guys. But it's a big, and I mean, this is a big lineup. This is like, we're just going to bully you. We're gonna be the taller team. We're gonna outplay you. We're just gonna outbig you. And I think that's a you still have your scorer in Pascal. You have OG who's your wing. You have all these wings. You have Precious as the wing. You have Coloco command the middle. So like all 5 guys defensively, this is probably one of your best defensive lineups. Even adding a Pirtle still be a very good defensive lineup. So it really doesn't matter if you add Pirtle or Coloco, but this is your big lineup. If you wanted to focus a lot on the 3, maybe you may have Boucher, and Precious is your five, Boucher is your four, Pascal your three, OG your two, and then you have a little bit more shooting with an OG and a Boucher being your better 3-point shooters of that squad, and then you start Precious, who has all the talent to be a really good 3-point shooter, and he just has a lot of talent. I was thinking of making a video on Precious. He's the one I got to make a video on because I just want to yell about how talented he is, but also yell that like we don't talk about him enough having a disappointing season last year. And we got to be tough on some of our players, and he's one of those players I think we got to be tough on for sure, for sure. Now I call this Pascal's dream because the best version of Pascal he would want this. I just read that Jack Armstrong, the legend, the GOAT. I spoke to him before. That guy's a GOAT. Spoke to him for like an hour while he was driving home, which was like it was a great conversation I had with that guy. He took a picture with me on my birthday. I'm just giving him a shot. He was just amazing. That guy, legend, top tier person, just general person, top tier. The thing with the Raptors media, there's some people who I've tried to reach out to, and some of them haven't reached out to me. Sometimes I want to be like, well, forget them, but they can be busy, whatever. And there's some people who I just generally appreciate because they're just good people, and they've always shown to be good people. And those are the people who I'm gonna, especially when the Raptor season is here, I'm gonna try to invite them more because I just appreciate stuff like that. But this is Pascal's dream. I went on a tangent, but Pascal's dream is OG. So sorry, Jack said that with Pascal, if he has a bunch of shooters around him, he's unguardable, which is correct. Pascal going downhill, it could be unguardable if he has four shooters around him. He's just unguardable. That's why I can see why people think Pascal and Barnes play style is the same, but look at the numbers. They actually play very well together. Like they can play off each other very well. So, and Scotty's not looking to score. People really see he's not looking to score. He probably wants to have the ball in his hands because he wants to have the control of the offense. But other than that, they play very well together. But Pascal's dream would be OG, Gary, Otto Porter, and then I said put Boucher or Precious. I'm gonna say Precious because for size wise, Precious can play the five. But then the reason you put Otto, Gary, and OG is because you have the best 3-point shooters. Now you may want to add Grady Dick. All this lineup is more if you want to win games. Grady next year is exactly what you want. Grady Dick has potential to be like a 15-year vet. JJ Redick type, Seth Curry type. Just the ability that he has to shoot. Every team wants that. He's a guy I can see, unless the Raptors have a really big trade in the horizons, I can see him being on the Raptors team for a while. Of course, if he wants to, after the 7-8 years. But that's Pascal's dream. The crazy thing is, that's also Scotty's. But the only thing with Scotty's, it's a little different. So yes, Scotty would play the point, but I think the best version of Scotty is having a Dennis Schroeder, OG, Gary, and Jakob Poeltl, because he would need not a stretch five. He needs a big five, right, to man the middle for that type of offense that Scotty would need. He needs a man to man the middle. Yeah, of course, a Precious would be great, but Precious is a four. I think we have to just kind of see that. Why does he need someone like Dennis Schroeder? He needs Dennis Schroeder because he needs another guard, right? But a guard who's willing to kind of not handle the ball, not like Fred VanVleet, who I think sometimes willing to. He's definitely willing to be off ball because he did it before. And if Scotty improved on his on ball, I think Fred would be more off ball. But I think that's the thing, I think Dennis Schroeder is more willing to let someone else run the show. He let LeBron do it. He's let General Russell do it. He let Austin Reeves do it. I think. But Barnes also needs that like safety net. I think that's Dennis Schroeder. OG is clearly the perfect guy for all of them, for Pascal, and because the 3-point shooting, the 3-and-D wing, and Gary as well is another person that's just like you need them. So that's why Gary, OG, Barnes, and Pascal are the four guys. And probably I'm just being recency biased. Those are the guys you just kind of always want to. One of the two of the four always got to be on the court with a various amount of bigs or whatever. Unless Pascal's playing, I think Pascal can play with anyone because he's number one guy. So I think he can play with anyone. OG's dream, because I want to give OG a shout out because he should. I'm can say fairly tough on OG and OG's development. But I think OG's dream would have a point guard, an actual point guard, like a Dennis Schroeder, Gary at the 2, himself at the 3. I think a Precious and a Poeltl. I think the best version of OG is playing in a lineup that is more like is more organized. The reason why I didn't put a Scotty and a Pascal because this is more like an OG offensive centric unit. If I put a Pascal in it, it makes it a Pascal team. No. This is OG's team where Scotty and OG or Scotty and Pascal can kind of do their own thing. But yeah, an OG team, you got Gary, Dennis Schroeder, Pirtle, and Precious. It's kind of like everyone's in their specific role, and OG just becomes that guy within that role. That's what I would say that is. The bench unit for this Raptor squad, um, this one was one of the more tougher ones to make because I included Grady Dick because I just felt like I had to. But it's a Dennis Schroeder, McDaniels, Jalen McDaniels, Dennis Schroeder, Jalen McDaniels, Grady Dick, Precious, and Koloko. Now you can take out a Grady, you can put an auto, or you can put potential Thad Young just do Thad Young, amazing dribble handoff stuff. You can put a Boucher as well, just to put some extra size in a Dennis. If you put Dennis with four bigs, but the only thing offensively, you're really saying Dennis is the guy, and then you're hoping Precious would have to really step up, right? That's what I think when I look at the bench. You want to play a bunch of guys, but hopefully Gary is coming off the bench. I just think he can still get his bag. The thing is, the bag he can get starting is the bag he can get off the bench. I think his bag's not going to change no matter what he starts. It's about his production. If Gary's production as well, he's gonna play minutes for sure. But yeah, that's the bench, right? The bench, like I said, Dennis, Jalen McDaniels, Grady Dick, Pressure Chua, Koloko, or Boucher, one of those guys. But what it does for you, you still have the point guard. You have McDaniels as a defensive player. You have the ability to have a bunch of wings. You can shoot the three at a better rate, things like that. So, but that's really like what I'm thinking for the lineup. Like this Raptors lineup is something that we're going to talk about for a while now. FIBA's coming, so that's going to probably take away some Raptor talk, more some Canada basketball talk. I spoke about the USA team yesterday. I will probably talk about Team Canada eventually because of what I want to see. Will always say wish that someone like Andrew Wiggins was on the squad. If he was on the squad, I think this team would easily be the championship contending team, just because I think having a wing player is needed, a good defensive player, offensively sound as well. I think that'd be great. Jamal Murray may not play because he just won a title. I'm not sure if that's going to happen, but I think you could still play Jamal Murray. Just maybe he's just limited minutes, and Denver wants to win the title. I'm not sure if they're going to be big fans of that happening at all. That's why I think even Giannis may not play, but he could be injured or something like that. Sometimes these NBA teams are all involved. I think nothing was going to stop Shea, and I think when Canada Basketball let these guys sign 3-year contract, they talked to the NBA teams like, hey, this is what these guys are committing to, and we really want to establish something. And but I think a guy like Nikhil and all that stuff, that's in the future for sure. But yeah, with this Raptors team, yeah, the lineup there's so much. There's so much you can do. There's so much. I'm curious about a Dennis Schroeder and Pascal led ish lineup where Pascal, Dennis, then you got maybe put like an Otto, Precious. Precious is also a key factor. Precious, I didn't do crunch time unit yet because I'm not sure if I'm ready for that yet. To be honest, I'm not sure if I'm ready to know who the crunch time offense could be for the Raptors. Does it include Boucher? Does it include Precious? Does it include Pirtle? I do think it needs a big, if that's a Precious who could play small ball five. He could play small ball five. And once the only person that is the toughest person to guard is Embiid. So if you have an Embiid, then that's where you got to put a Pirtle because especially now that Nick Nurse is the coach, I'm pretty confident when Raptors plays Philadelphia 76ers, Embiid's going for 50 because Nick Nurse knows this team is not big enough. Embiid, go to work. These guys can't guard you. He's going to say to them, they can't guard you. He knows they can't. He knows. He tried it. He tried it himself. It didn't work out. Only when he had Marcus Gasol worked out. And Marcus Gasol is not coming. He's retired, I believe. I think he owns a Spanish team, so he's done. But yeah, so this team is going to be interesting as a whole. Maybe next week I talk about potential units. I'll think of something to talk about with this team. Maybe rank all the players who I believe need to have the most impressive season, or maybe talk about their stats, something like that. I don't know. I'll think of something for next week. But that's it for now. Make sure you guys comment and like. I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. This is Those Guys Sports. It's your boy Mike. Don't forget to like and subscribe. And I'll talk to you again. Peace.